The mystery surrounding the RMS Titanic and its tragic sinking continues to captivate people around the world over a century after the disaster occurred. The Titanic, one of the largest and most luxurious ships of its time, was considered by many to be a marvel of engineering designed to be unsinkable. Its maiden voyage from Southampton to New York City began on April 10, 1912, but it met a tragic end on the night of April 14, 1912, when it struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic Ocean and sank. While the events surrounding the disaster have been well documented, many aspects of the Titanic's sinking, the ship itself, and the aftermath have remained the subject of mystery, speculation, and intrigue. The Titanic's legacy is one marked by its size, grandeur, and the enormous loss of life. But beneath this historical tragedy lies a complex web of unanswered questions and uncertainties that continue to fuel debate to this day. The ship itself, the RMS Titanic, was constructed by the White Star Line as part of an ambitious plan to build the largest and most luxurious ocean liners in the world. The Titanic, along with its sister ships, the RMS Olympic and the RMS Britannic, was built by the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, Northern Ireland. The Titanic was designed to be a floating palace with lavish interiors, first-class accommodations, and state-of-the-art safety features. At the time of its construction, it was the largest ship ever built, measuring approximately 882 feet in length and weighing over 4,000 tons. The Titanic's interiors were opulent, with grand staircases, ornate dining rooms, and luxurious cabins designed to accommodate the wealthiest passengers. The ship's size, elegance, and cutting-edge technology made it a symbol of human achievement. It was also marketed as an unsinkable vessel, largely due to its advanced safety features, which included watertight compartments that were supposed to seal off the ship in case of a hull breach. The ship's maiden voyage began on April 10, 1912, with great fanfare. It was seen as the height of luxury and sophistication, attracting many notable figures from the world of business, entertainment, and high society. Passengers included some of the wealthiest people of the time, such as John Jacob Astor IV, Isidor Straus, and Benjamin Guggenheim, all of whom would later perish in the disaster. The ship carried over 2,200 people, including crew members, passengers in all classes, and those in steerage, the third-class accommodations. The Titanic's route was set to take it from Southampton, England, to New York City, with stops in Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, now Cork, Ireland. The voyage seemed promising, and there was little indication that the Titanic's journey would end in catastrophe. The ship had been built to withstand virtually any scenario, including collisions with icebergs, so many felt confident in its safety. However, on the night of April 14, just 4 days into its maiden voyage, the Titanic encountered a series of fateful circumstances that would lead to its sinking. At approximately 11:40 p.m., the ship struck an iceberg on the starboard side, causing a breach in the hull. The collision resulted in a catastrophic failure of the ship's watertight compartments, and water began flooding the lower decks. Although the Titanic was designed to stay afloat even if several compartments were breached, the iceberg had caused damage to more compartments than the ship could handle. The ship's designers had not anticipated the possibility of such extensive damage to multiple compartments, and as a result, the Titanic began to sink. In the hours that followed, the passengers and crew aboard the Titanic faced an unimaginable disaster. The ship's officers and crew initially tried to maintain order and calm, but the realization that the ship was sinking quickly became apparent. While the Titanic's watertight bulkheads were designed to prevent flooding, they did not extend high enough to prevent water from spilling over from one compartment to the next. This flaw in the ship's design meant that as the lower compartments filled with water, the ship became progressively more unstable. The weight of the water began to tilt the ship, and it soon became clear that the Titanic was doomed. In the chaos that followed, the lack of adequate lifeboats became one of the central issues contributing to the loss of life. The Titanic had lifeboats for only about half of the people aboard, far fewer than would have been needed to accommodate all passengers and crew. The lifeboats that were available were not even filled to capacity. While many passengers were unaware of the severity of the situation, some were able to board lifeboats, but many were left behind. The class distinctions on the ship also played a role in the unequal distribution of lifeboats. First-class passengers were given priority, while many third-class passengers were left to fend for themselves, often unable to reach the lifeboats due to locked gates and other barriers. In the final moments, the Titanic broke apart, with the stern rising into the air before the ship sank into the icy waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Over 1,500 people lost their lives, making it one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history. The aftermath of the Titanic disaster sparked widespread public outrage as the events of the sinking unfolded. The official inquiries, including the British Board of Trade's investigation and the U.S. Senate inquiry, examined the causes of the disaster and the ship's lack of sufficient safety measures. These inquiries revealed several lapses in the Titanic's design, the inadequate number of lifeboats, and the failure to heed ice warnings from other ships in the area. The investigations also highlighted the confusion and chaos that ensued after the iceberg collision, as many passengers and crew members failed to grasp the full extent of the danger until it was too late. However, despite the findings of these inquiries, many questions remained unanswered, particularly about the events that transpired in the final hours before the ship sank. There have been persistent theories suggesting that the Titanic's sinking was not just a result of poor planning and oversight, but that there may have been other contributing factors, including sabotage or deliberate negligence. One of the most enduring mysteries of the Titanic tragedy involves the circumstances surrounding the ship's final moments. While the ship's sinking has been thoroughly documented, there is still much debate about the exact sequence of events that led to the disaster. For example, some theorists have proposed that the Titanic's captain, Edward Smith, may have been distracted or even complicit in the disaster, but there is little evidence to support such claims. Captain Smith was experienced and had overseen numerous successful voyages, but the extreme speed at which the Titanic was traveling through iceberg-infested waters has raised questions. Were there additional circumstances that caused the captain to push the ship beyond its limits? Did Smith and the officers aboard the Titanic miss crucial opportunities to avoid the iceberg? While some experts believe the ship was simply traveling too fast for the conditions, others argue that the ship's design flaws contributed to its downfall. Another key mystery involves the ship's design and whether certain aspects of the Titanic's construction contributed to its demise. Some have argued that the Titanic's hull was made of steel that was not as strong as originally believed. The ship's hull plates were riveted rather than welded, which may have caused them to buckle upon impact with the iceberg. Furthermore, the Titanic's hull was designed to resist the flooding of several compartments, but the damage caused by the iceberg may have exceeded what was possible for the ship to survive. The question of whether the Titanic's builders and designers overlooked safety concerns or if the ship was simply doomed by an unfortunate combination of factors remains one of the enduring mysteries of the disaster. In addition, many have speculated about the role of other vessels in the area, including the Californian, which was reportedly within sight of the Titanic when the disaster occurred. The Californian's captain, Stanley Lord, has been criticized for failing to respond to the Titanic's distress signals, which some believe could have saved many lives. Theories suggest that the Californian may have been aware of the Titanic's situation and may have been able to rescue passengers, but a lack of communication between the two ships allowed the Titanic to sink before help arrived. The full extent of what happened between the Titanic and the Californian, and whether the latter could have played a role in the rescue efforts, remains a subject of much debate. The sinking of the Titanic has also been surrounded by numerous conspiracy theories. Some have claimed that the Titanic was deliberately sunk as part of an elaborate scheme involving insurance fraud, while others argue that the ship was the victim of sabotage. These theories often cite the presence of prominent individuals on board, including John Jacob Astor IV, Isidor Strass, and Benjamin Guggenheim, who were believed to be opponents of certain financial interests or involved in disputes related to the ship's design. While there is no substantial evidence to support these theories, they have nonetheless fueled intrigue and speculation about the true cause of the disaster. Perhaps the most persistent mystery of the Titanic's story is the question of whether its sinking was truly inevitable. The Titanic's tragic end has become a symbol of human hubris, and it serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of overconfidence and complacency in the face of nature's power. Over time, the story of the Titanic has evolved into more than just a historical event. It has become a myth, a story that reflects our own vulnerabilities and our obsession with mastery over nature. Despite all the research, the mystery of the Titanic continues to captivate the public imagination, with new theories and discoveries emerging regularly. As technology has advanced, the shipwreck has been located and explored, providing new insights into the final moments of the Titanic. Yet many questions remain unanswered, leaving the tragedy to live on as one of history's most enduring mysteries. The Titanic serves as a reminder of the fragility of human endeavor and the unpredictable nature of fate.